Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, absolutely delighted that you could join us on the programme. Alan Ruff is alongside me, and our special guest today, Scotland and of course Glasgow City midfielder Leanne Crichton. Great to have Leanne with us, and there's a lot to get our teeth into. Yes, we're still running our competition as well. A chance to win one of our exclusive PLZ T-shirts. Ruffy and Leanne are here with me. Well, Ruffy's been bronzed for his holidays. You didn't have a holiday. You had some serious business for Scotland. Now that you reflect on it, is it with pride or sadness?
A bit of both, I think, yeah. Pride, obviously, will be the one that lasts the longest, I think. When I eventually come out the other side, I'm sure I'll look back and be really proud that I was there and part of that. But the sadness and the frustration and the disappointment of the result and the final match particularly, and the way that we kind of went out the tournament is still a bitter pill to swallow. Yeah, and prior to you going out to the World Cup, Ruffy did remind you of the fact that it would be long days of doing nothing, you'd be bored, and then of course you've got to go out and perform, and now it's come home to roost. That's true, and I was very well prepared for all that advice that Ruffy had given me. No, listen, the tournament in itself just goes by and with a flash, and you don't really get consumed by each day. You don't think too much about it until you come home and you start to digest it and think, you know, possibly would you have done things differently. But the sad thing is it's over now, and we move on, and we just need to make sure that we are continuously getting to these major tournaments that we can keep speaking about it. Yeah, well, you're one of a group of girls who are pioneers that will never be forgotten, taking Scotland to their first ever World Cup, something to be proud of indeed. OK, to the men's game, we'll touch on Leanne back at Glasgow City as well. We'll hear from Stevie Naismith shortly. We'll also hear from Scott Brown. You can give us your opinion on our YouTube channel, countdown to the start of the season. Ruffy won't be with us tomorrow for obviously the operation, which reduces the way he's looking older day by day, but he'll be back with us on Monday, so we'll get his predictions today on the footy for the weekend. So let's cut to the chase. He's heading for 33 next month. He's signed a 4-year deal. Stephen Naismith's agent deserves a huge pat on the back. Yeah, it just shows you know, how much respect they've got for him in that side. You know, to get a 4-year contract at his age, particularly coming off of that injury that he had. And I hope it doesn't reoccur. I hope he has another 4 good years, because Hearts are banking on him to pull them out of where they are now, because they're in a bad place. The fans who have been very supportive of them over the last 3 or 4 years are beginning to grumble a wee bit. You can hear the moans, whether it's the team or whether it's Craig Levein or whatever. So him coming back would sort of steady the ship a wee bit, obviously winning games as well. Yeah, absolutely. If Stephen Naismith plays and the rest of his teammates can lift their game to his standards, then it might be the difference in keeping Craig Levein in a job. Of course, the man himself happy to sign a 4-year deal, and he outlined his ambitions on the club TV today.
You've won trophies here in Scotland, every trophy going, you've played at the highest level down in England. What is there, as you head into the last contract of your career, what is there still for Stephen Naismith to achieve, and what can he achieve here at Hearts?
I think for me at Hearts, it's about one, pushing this club in the league format further and challenging closer to the top of the table, and secondly, get some silverware in the cup competitions. That's got to be the short-term goal. For me personally, it's about enjoyment, and I think that's the biggest thing I've had over my career in the last few years, is the enjoyment of playing every week, enjoying it, and being at a club that's got demands on it that want to be successful and want to go to the next level, and that for me is the thing that drives me most.
Yep, he's a good player. I mean, he's my type of player, Leanne. He really puts himself about. He can be a pain in the butt to the opposition, but he can inspire his teammates.
No, he doesn't. He's a complete professional. I think you can see that, and the fact the club have offered him a 4-year deal, they're looking at him every day in training. They see the way that he conducts himself in and around the younger players in the squad, probably the staff at the club as well. So you're getting more than just a really good player in Stephen A. Smith. You're getting everything else that goes with it. And listen, his agent, whoever represents him, knows his worth as well. The fact they've managed to get that 4-year deal just speaks volumes for the guy himself.
Yeah, I think they could do with a wee bit more of that, Ruffy, at Hearts. They've been well documented and well praised for their development of young players, but I think key players that have a wee bit more experience to let them dig out results when the fans are grumbling in it. And believe me, there's no hiding place at Tynecastle when they're not going well.
I think unfortunate further is obviously the new stand has taken a lot of money as well. I think there's no doubt about that the coffers have been held back a wee bit, because we know Craig Levein definitely likes to bring in a player. He likes to bring in a few players, particularly all at the one time, and then throws them in the first game of the season. But that hasn't happened, so I think they've sort of pinned their hopes on Stephen A. Smith just turning everything round about. But I think they've lost 2 or 3 really important players, and he really needs that to replace them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Anne Budge will be going out of her way to do that. I was reading an article in the Edinburgh Evening News this morning. Basically, she's saying he has to perform, he has to get results, and obviously she reacted to some of the criticism of some of the fan chants criticising the manager. The fact that more of the criticism is now directed at me, I'm not losing sleep over it. I know how much work I've put in alongside everybody else, as well as listening to the chanting at East Fife. There were a number of supporters saying, don't listen to them, and just keep going. I don't want to come across as complacent, but I genuinely believe the majority of supporters can see the bigger picture while being unhappy with a bad performance. I will know soon enough if it's a proper deep-rooted concern. If that's the case, I'll be happy to go. I don't want to go, but if I genuinely thought the majority of supporters thought it was time for me to move on and someone else to take over, I'll do that. I'm a fan like everybody else. Well, I just do not see Anne Budge being in the firing line. The buck stops with the manager and the director of football.
No, I actually think she's been really transparent in terms of the way she's coming across, and she's speaking out. She's acknowledging that she's heard those chants and whatever else that's going on, but it absolutely falls at the door of the players and the manager that picks the team and trains the players and the coaching staff. I think the way Hearts started last season, right up until Christmas, they had a great start. It was only until they lost key players through injury, Stephen Naismith being one of those players, that the kind of wheels fell off the wagon. So I think, as she's saying, people need to see the bigger picture, and hopefully that picture will be that they will get themselves, back to where they were, and that structure is there, and we're adding a little bit of quality, 2 or 3 players. Hearts won't be far off of being that top side that everybody knows that they can be, especially with the demands of that support behind them.
Yeah, I mean, some of the fans were chanting Heart of Midlothian were in the wrong hands. I think they were talking about the manager, Ruffy. I don't think they were talking about the owner. She has been exemplary. Yeah,
I think she's been exemplary in everything she's done since she went in, the way she organised the finance, the way she brought the supporters as part of the finance, to bring them on board. Any trouble there's been at the club, whether it was racism or trouble, she was on it right away. She did her side of the bargain. I think it's unfortunately it's the manager now who makes the decisions in the team that he picks. And yeah, everybody's allowed a bad result here and there, but again, like we were talking about Kilmarnock, he's under a wee bit of pressure as well in the first month of the season, because if the results don't go their way, and you read out the fixtures that they've got, the supporters will not accept it, and then Anne Budge will maybe have to make some kind of decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, from Anne Budge and the problems at Tynecastle to Europe, and let's hope we've got Rangers and Aberdeen into the next stage of the Europa League. Of course, Rangers in a good position, 2-0 up against Progress Niederkorn, not too far away from kick-off in that match, but nevertheless, Steven Gerrard, just before that match gets underway, a lot of the the press speculation was about Morelos and this story coming from down south, which of course was laughed out of town. It was a complete nonsense, a £30 million bid for Alfredo Morelos. Sometimes I think the standard of reporting in stupid stories, and this is one of them, just defies belief, Ruffy.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I actually thought it was April the 1st more than anything else, but calendar didn't say that. But again, some reporters get away with that kind of headline. But again, it's good of Steven Gerrard to put the supporters right and saying, look, that was ridiculous, you know. So it puts the supporters' mind at rest and they can move on. The
one key element in this is Rangers, I think, are going out of their way to try and punt Morelos. I think the club are looking for some kind of injection of huge money to try and offset. Obviously, there's an ongoing battle with Sports Direct, which a lot of Rangers fans are just breathing heavily on why they continually pick this fight with Mike Ashley, a billionaire. But nevertheless, I think, you know, they're trying to flush out someone to buy Morelos.
Yeah, and I think for them just now it's a bit of a catch-22 because, you know, they've only really got Defoe as another main striker that's there, and albeit he's done pretty well, but are you going to get the same level of games and time out of a player at Jermaine Defoe's age? I'm unsure whether you would need a second striker like Alfredo Morelos. You know, he's obviously the number one striker just now, but if you sell him on, it's how quickly can you replace somebody to come in and do the job, 30 goals that he offered. But I think the financial side is a real burden and strain for Rangers just now in terms of it's almost dangling the carrot, and it's been there a long time. So if a club's going to come in and offer decent money, I think they would bite their hand off for it, and I think they're hedging their bets with that, with, you know, speaking about the rumours of transfers but not quite committing to it being, you know, a bid or it not being a bid, but they're not dismissing that it's going on and it's happening.
I think
there's speculation around the player.
I think you can see Steven Gerrard's not happy about it at all. He's not happy about having a player who's every wee now and then is thrown out there, I want away or I want to go to another league. You can't have a player like that. If you're wanting success in your dressing room, you can't have a player like that being in the dressing room and throwing out that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but genuinely, Ruffy, you know the way it works here. Let's not be naive about this. Suddenly the club might put it out to agents. The agents then feed it to a journalist. They then try and flush out a club and say, would you be interested? He's being punted all over the place. This, you know, trying to get the 10 million above whatever everybody wants to argue about what he's worth. I think he's worth 10 million to a club. I think if there is a deal going to come for Morelos, it's going to come right at the last minutes of the window when Championship clubs in England become desperate and start to look for players that they think will supplement their squad. Yep. Maybe a European club will come in. Maybe a South American club that looks and says, well, we're going to bring the boy back home. But there's no doubt in my mind that they are absolutely looking everywhere to try and flush out a club to make a bid. I think they'll get that bid eventually, but it's not a case of Steven Gerrard being upset and turning around and saying the boy has to come clean. Steven Gerrard completely knows what the drill is on this one. This is a nonsense to suggest he doesn't.
Yeah, but the other problem with this is if none of that materialises, he's now left with a player who, at the best of times, isn't particularly happy. If he doesn't get the move, then they've got a player in the dressing room he doesn't really want, which isn't a good thing to have.
What do you mean he doesn't really want? He scored goals for fun and he gets sent off, but other than that, he's been good for Rangers.
Yeah, but his temperament shows that he might not be 100%. He might go in the huff like some of the other ones have went, oh, I wanted a move, I've not got it, and then you've got 2 or 3 months to get his head round to get him back to where he was.
I think Steven Gerrard made his point in the sense that he said if clubs are going to come in from now, you won't get him at the end of the window. Yeah. And I think that might be the control aspect that Steven Gerrard's looking to maintain.
Yeah, but with all due respect, Leanne, Steven Gerrard can tell me you won't get him at the end of the window. You won't get Moussa Dembele at the end of the window, but he left in the 11th hour. No, if somebody comes in with 10 million for Rangers, they'll bite his hand off, which leads me nicely to the question I'm about to ask you in a double-barrelled one, which is 2-0 up against Progress Niederkorn, Midtjylland waiting in the next round. If they can get past them, I think they're good enough. Yeah,
I think they'll comfortably get through tonight. I think it will be maybe 3-0, 3-1 along those lines. I think they would be frustrated that they never took advantage and get more goals last week. I think they'll also be frustrated that they opened the door a couple of times and almost let Progress get themselves back in the tie, and that could easily happen tonight if they don't go about the job properly, but I can see them getting through comfortably.
Yeah, they don't have £7 million to buy Ryan Kent. What leads you to believe that they can win the league?
I just think that the inconsistency was the problem for Rangers last year. I think the descent in terms of the players that they went without in big moments cost them points that probably really crucial stages of the season. After the break, when they came back and they lost those points to Kilmarnock, I think was a huge turning point in the season for them. And I think when you've got that new manager bounce, and then you have the consistency of an additional pre-season and having players settle, I think that the challenge for them will become, a bit more settled this year, and not so much pressure in terms of the players trying to gel together and get that team cohesion. They'll definitely push Celtic, I think, right to the wire, and I do genuinely believe that they possibly could go and tip them to the post.
There you are, Ruffy. You've got a friend alongside you now. Does that make you feel any more confident?
What do you mean, that I'm agreeing with Leanne?
Yeah.
No, I'm not agreeing with Leanne. I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to this window closes, and I'm waiting to see the 2 or 3 Celtic players that Neil Lennon's told all the fans that are going to come in, and that could be the defining factor for me.
Yeah. Okay. With regards to Aberdeen, we certainly hope that Derek McInnes can see off Chikura and make their way through. I think they've got enough as well to win at Pittodrie.
Yeah, I think so. And Pittodrie is one of those bits for Aberdeen. It almost lets them down at times, whether it's the expectation of playing in front of the fans, that they often don't execute the same performance that they do away from home. But I think that they'll have enough. Like Rangers, they'll get through the tie and progress.
You with that, Ruffy?
Yeah, we need 3. We need 3 of them through there for obvious reasons. But for the Aberdeen supporters, they've been disappointed in this cup on numerous occasions. Let's hope they'll make it an easy path tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed. We'll hear from the Celtic captain, Scott Brown, after we address the quiz. Well, we were talking about players possibly coming and going. Celtic no different, trying to hold on to key players and maybe resign to losing one important player at left back. It's been one of those long-running transfer sagas with Arsenal and Kieran Tierney. Is it moving ever closer? Well, Scott Brown was talking today about the left back and, of course, how he may be resigned to the fact that he's going to leave Celtic, but he says it'll be a decision made by the player himself.
He's fine. He's just coming back for injuries. He's looking forward to trying getting himself back into training and getting himself back on the pitch as well. And he's been a phenomenal player for us the last 5 seasons. And we'll just wait and see what happens. But here's hoping he stays. And as it stands now, as a Celtic player, and I'd love him to stay because of what he's done the last 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think everybody's just towing the party line on this one, Ruffy. He's definitely going to be heading out the door shortly.
I think when everything's thrown in front of him, it'll be a massive decision for him to make. Let's not forget, this was a ball boy at one stage and going right up into the first team. Celtic will mean...
What does being a ball boy have to do?
What I mean is...
He was still a good player when he was a ball boy.
He's painting the picture.
The picture that he's shown no other desire to go anywhere else through his whole career, and it will be a huge decision for him. But I'm like you. I think the facts and figures are thrown down. The challenge of playing in the English Premiership seems to be where you test yourself, where you become a real big player. And I think going down to that league and getting into that team, I think then we'll see possibly a really good player. And I think that's why the stumbling block has been the sell-on fee. I think Celtic have now discovered that that's where you make your money with Dembele. So I think there'll be a sell-on clause somewhere that Arsenal will have to agree with before he moves.
Right, okay. Well, if he does move, will it be detrimental to Celtic's overall quest to try and win 9 in a row? Will they win 9 in a row? I know Leanne has mentioned that she thinks Rangers. Don't forget, you can hang on till probably mid-November for Ruffy's assessment of who he thinks is going to win the league as well on this show. Now, at the bottom end, Ruffy, we're always speculating on who's going down. St Mirren, the fans have been critical of them. Jim Goodwin needs players in.
Yeah, I mean, in the evidence of the Betfred, the 2 teams we're talking about, Hamilton and St Mirren, need to do something drastic. They won't. It must be a horrible feeling being bottom 2 or bottom 3 for the whole season. The pressure that puts on the players in your team. is enormous, you know, and it's very difficult to get out of there. I think Ross County have been privy enough to see them last year, have got enough firepower and enough experience to maybe just get away from the bottom two for a wee while if they have a good start. So yeah, I think you're right. They will be. I think there'll be 4 teams will be down there.
Yeah, they've got midfielder Sam Foley they've brought in. He's 32 years of age. I can see where Jim's coming from. He's looking and thinking, listen, if we're going to dogfight, I need journeymen, I need experienced people to help us along the way.
No, definitely, and I think that's what he's looking to do, and I think he will need to add another couple of players, and you know, maybe a few sprightly ones that can change games for you, or you know, goal scorers that are going to guarantee, you know, even if you concede on a weekend, that you're guaranteed that you'll score goals as well. Because I think when teams get dragged into that dogfight at the bottom of the table, often the big problem is that they just don't score at all. So the results that they lose, it is only by small margins, you know, 1-0s. So I think that's what Jim will need to do. But he's got a difficult task, you know, because he's held in high regard at St Mirren, so he won't want to let the people down.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still see him smiling away, lifting that League Cup. Seems like only yesterday. And he looked exactly the same with grey hair and a grey beard, Ruffy. He won't thank me for saying that. Okay, we've got decision time on an award that gets handed out around about this time. It's, of course, the nominees for FIFA's Best Player of the Year. Well, I'm going for Virgil. Ruffy, who are you going for?
Yeah, it jumped out at me there just now. I think with the season that he's had and the way he's moved up the pecking order in European football, I think people are talking about him more than the others that were on that.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think it needs to be someone different as well. I think you can always get caught up in Ronaldo and Messi. Defenders are always overlooked, I think, for the job that they do, and I think where he's come from and where he is now is just an incredible journey. Yeah,
it's a great line. It's amazing how many times I've been on air, whether it be radio or TV, and I can still hear Andy Walker echoing in my ear saying, "You can't give a Player of the Year award to a defender." He almost dismissed it out of hand as if it just wasn't the done thing to do.
That's what happens, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we can certainly hand out awards to good midfielders, and I'm delighted that we've got one in here. We wish you well for the new season, Luyan. I mean, obviously it's up and running and gets back up and running shortly at Glasgow City. It'll be strange for you playing without big crowds around you. I don't mean, I'm no disrespect to what will be watching you.
Yeah, it'll be a change, but it's almost what you're used to, and we just hope there's maybe a World Cup bounce off the back of the support that we've generated, and you know, more fans come along to the games and you know, really get behind us this season. But Sunday will be a nice one to get going against our biggest rivals, Hibs. So
yeah, absolutely. And they pushed you well.
They did, and they will do again. We've got that cushion just now with the 5 points. They've pipped us to the League Cup, so it's all to play for. We need the points as much as they do on Sunday just to give us that wee bit of cushion moving on. Yeah, and will it affect you as a midfielder when you see Ruffy and me in the stand shouting abuse at you for that Scotland performance at the World Cup? No, that's when I know I'll have made it.
Yeah, same here. That's when we know we'll have had a couple of freebies off you. Anyway, thanks to Leanne Crichton from Glasgow City. We wish them well for the season. From Ruffy and myself, do join us tomorrow on the programme. Archie McPherson will be alongside Barry Ferguson and myself on Facebook and of course on YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.